Tottenham got back to winning ways on the pitch against Manchester United in the Premier League. But the main discourse before and after this match was that of the huge Levy out protest outside the stadium and also inside the stadium after the game. It's the biggest Levy out protest I've ever seen from my life being a Spurs fan. Many people are now talking about Daniel Levy and the potential problem that he has caused at Tottenham Hotspur. So today on the Sonny Talk Spurs YouTube channel, we're going to be talking about this protest and other reactions and asking the question, is Gary Neville right about Tottenham Hotspur? But before we go any further, if you are new to the Sonny Talk Spurs YouTube channel, then drop us a like, subscribe and hit the notification bell, and also leave your comments down below. Are you Levy in or you Levy out? So a lot of the general discourse lately on the channel has been about the future of Ange Postecoglou. I've made my points clear on that. I want him to do better. I expect better from him. I really still rate him, but I think his future could be up in the air depending on how the season ends. But today, I just wanted to give my overall thoughts and reactions to what I saw in regard to the Levy out protests that happened before the game and after the game. There was a huge march on the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. About 2,000 or so Spurs fans took part. Levy out chants being bellowed, signs, the lot. Here's a few images if you haven't seen it already. And also the general discourse, although it was about Manchester United and the troubles that they are going through and having under Ruben Amorim, the Glazers, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, there was a lot of conversation on Super Sunday about, you know, Daniel Levy, Enoch, Joe Lewis, and the problems, you know, off the pitch at Spurs. And reacting to it was Gary Neville, Jamie Redknapp, and Tottenham legend Jermaine Defoe. And we all know Gary Neville's main opinions on Daniel Levy. He has rated him as a football operator for many years.
Ryan Mason was on the touchline against United and I talked to me. What did Tottenham need to do to get their managerial situation sorted?
I've been defending, obviously, Daniel Levy for quite a few years. I've actually said that he's one of the best operators in football.
Is that going to come up on the crimes against punditry?
No, because I actually think he obviously is running probably a large part of the club correctly, but he's never let go, really, has he, of the football side? He's never dealt with that. It's a little bit similar to, say, Ed Woodward at Manchester United, who was basically driving record revenues, record profits on the business side,
not a football guy.
but on the actual football side, they wanted to play football manager, or they wanted to be in charge of that side. So I think now, obviously, what's happened, I'm really surprised that they took that 10 days to lose Conte after that interview, and then came up with Stellini.
Yeah.
I was like, you might as well stick with Conte to the end of the season, say, I'll not speak to you, just get on with it, manage the club, because that's your job. Or bring in someone that would deal with it to the end of the season. Chelsea have had a similar problem with obviously bringing Frank in. Can't have that again because we know what's going to happen. Yeah. So to be fair, I can't believe Daniel Levy has gone down that route again.
Yeah, well, he's definitely that. I mean, it was a mistake.
But isn't it a bit though, where all of a sudden Conte's answering phone calls, and previously it was like Sherwood was answering phone calls, and they're like, oh, Conte wants to speak to me.
I think there is an element of that. So we can get Antonio Conte, who's won everywhere. To your point, we break managers, right? Really good ones. And that's what's happened previously. But there's no way of... When we got Jose Mourinho, I was like...
Can I rephrase that? I think managers break you as well.
Right.
Because honestly, I think what... Look, seriously. Because I think what Jose and... I've said this about Rafa Benitez a couple of times. What Jose and Conte do, they turn everyone on each other. Absolutely. And they end up breaking your culture, your club as well. So for me, don't just think there that we destroy managers. Those managers are capable in the power that they have with the media to destroy your club as well. So I think Spurs is a great club. What Levy's done with the stadium and the training ground means that you're set up for a great manager to come in.
And on this Super Sunday, he sort of said similar things. So here's a big roundup of what Gary Neville and the others said about Daniel Levy, and I'll give my opinions on it.
Well, yeah, of course they've got a point. And I think that the rumours are that Tottenham are looking behind the scenes. It's not a public sale, like when Manchester United went out there and said we're having a strategic review of our options and we're looking to bring investment in. They've not said that. But the rumour mill around is that Tottenham are looking potentially for people to come and buy this club. Now, it'll be a big price, but it would be the right time probably in some ways, because I think what he's done here in building this stadium, getting the training ground right, the problem with him is he's not been able to leave the football side or detach the football side from himself, so that ultimately he just runs the business side, because he's obviously very good at that. He runs a pretty tight ship, and that's what you want at a football club. It's easy at a football club to get people who say yes, who get emotional about spending money. He's got to look after Tottenham and their long-term future, but he's also got to bring in an expert in the football department, and he always seems to obviously interfere in that and sort of be oppressive in the way in which he deals with that side of it. And that's a big problem, because a football club is a football club, and it's all about first-team performance. So the stadium's great. The training ground's great. That's what he can do. He can bring commercial revenue, make sure the NFL here, make sure Beyonce's here, as Jamie said before the game. And
there's someone looking forward to it.
There's loads of money coming into the club. You're not getting a ticket. Yeah, he's protected the long-term. He's protected the long-term future of the club from a point of view of revenue and things like that, which are really important. But they can't let go. It's a little bit like United when sort of David Gill and Sir Alex Ferguson left. The guys who were running the commercial side, who were doing a great job, come into the football side and think they can play football manager. And they can't. It's a completely different skill set.
So he'd probably be thinking, well, I've given you everything. You know, I've tried to get the top managers, Mourinho's or Conte's, winners, to try and get over the line. Under Poch, came close, you know, Champions League final. So I can imagine, I mean, he'll be hurt today, seeing that. You know, the chairman, he comes here with his family, his wife, and his dad comes to the game sometimes. I can imagine, of course, I know at that level you have to be thick-skinned, but he's human at the end of the day. He'll be hurt by that, because he's probably looking at it thinking, I've given so much. Of course the fans want to see more. You know, this is a big football club. You know, last time I won a trophy was 2008. I mean, it's a long time, but at the same time, I do believe if you spoke to him, he'll be hurt because of what he's actually put into the club, you know.
When your dad arrived at Spurs, and I'm asking because, to be fair, I'm wondering what actually happens when managers come here. What does Daniel Levy say the expectation is? Does he say that we're trying to win a Premier League, or does he say, I want to get into the top? Or what does he actually say? He must set that out when he first comes.
Well, I think they had 2 points from 8 games when he first came.
Right, OK.
So one day Ramos was under incredible pressure. Yeah. I think he called my dad up on the Thursday, and then by the Saturday he was already in charge. They played Bolton here, and that was the kind of feeling that he had. I think there was planning protests that weekend, and he thought, right, rather than have any more stick, I'll get him in. don't get me wrong, they had incredible success. He brought a lot of good players in. We had Modric, Bale, Jermaine was up front. It was an exciting side, a little bit like Pochettino's. So they went really close, but I think that there's a difference there. And
does he say, I want to build a title? Does he say, when you played it, does he say, I want a title-winning team, I want a Champions League winning team?
I think probably the objective was obviously to finish in the top 4, Champions League.
Is that said, or is that an unsaid sort of, how does it work here? Because at United, really simple, like at Liverpool, we have to win the league. Even now, I suspect Amorim is being told by the owners, massively, hundreds of points, it feels like, away from it, our target is to get the Premier League title back. I'm sure he's being told that. Yeah, but what are they told here?
I suppose only, obviously, the manager could answer that question. I remember, obviously, being at Rangers and Stevie actually said that. We won the league the next season. It was like, right, I've been told that we have to win a league and win a cup. You have to. So he put that on the players. Now, you have to sort of like drive those sort of standards and try and do it again. But I just think the chairman, he's obviously tried to create, best in class. And when I say that, I mean like best in class in terms of the training ground, the stadium, the academy, the coaches in the academy, try and bring these young players, and we've seen young players come through. That's probably the positive this season. But, I mean, in terms of the managers, of course, there's times in the transfer window where perhaps the chairman could have done better. But still, when I look at some of the performances this season, especially when you've got these key injuries and these young players not getting protected, I just felt like at times that the not just the manager, but the coaches should have adapted in certain games.
The two sides of the argument are that financially, Spurs are doing incredibly well. They've got this stunning stadium, the training facilities have been improved. They would argue that they are also spending on bringing in players. And yet the fans' point of view is, well, why are we not seeing that on the pitch? If you're making this much money for the club and for your organisation, then why are we not seeing this reflected on the pitch?
I think it's the decision making as well. I think that on that banner there, would it say 16 managers in 24 years, something like that? There's been too much change in terms of that perspective, and every manager, Gary made a really good point. When the managers leave, Conte's second in his league, Nuno Espirito Santo third in the Premier League after really getting outed and certainly sent embarrassed while he was here. Conte's top of the Italian league. That in itself tells you everything. It can't keep being the manager's fault. So look, I've said the same things now, Kelly, about Daniel Levy and Tottenham for the last, 15 years or so. I've always felt the same things. There are aspects of it that he has. Of course, he's done a great job. Look at this stadium, etc. But Gary's right. I think sometimes you've got to leave the football decisions to people that understand those decisions and making sure that when you're bringing players in, they're going to make your team better, because I think that's where they've gone a little bit wrong and they've fallen behind. Because what happens with Daniel as well, as soon as he comes under pressure, which he is now, the first thing he wants to do is say, fire the manager, because then that takes the pressure off him again. That can't keep having that firing culture, because it's just not going to bring you success.
Which they haven't got at the moment, because before today's game, Spurs were in 15th. They have been on a really poor run of form, and they've stuck with.
And I think we've got a cup final. I think after last time when he sacked whatever we think about Jose, the greatest cup winner of all time was sacked before a final. That was absolutely crazy when you think about it, and they put in Ryan Mason in charge. I think this time they probably think, look, they can ram it all down our throats, and I include the chairman, the manager, all the criticism. Jamie Carragher said a few weeks ago, I was there, he said, Tottenham, they don't win a game. They don't win anything. When do they ever win a big game? Why can't they use that as their fuel to all of us and go and win something this year? And then all of a sudden, everyone will just go, fair enough, what a great job.
Those managers compare in terms of when Spurs have decided to sack them and the way they look at what Ange Postecoglou is doing at the moment?
Well, there's never really been any rhyme or reason when he's got rid of managers. That's what I would say. You look at even Villas-Boas was 7th in the league. I think it's hard to second-guess what someone like Daniel Levy will do. He'll look at things and try to assess. I felt normally when he comes under huge pressure, that's when he normally tends to want to change the manager. But he's probably thinking right now, who else do I bring out? Who do I bring in? There are candidates out there that I think would do a great job here, but I think that's the problem. I thought long and hard about this situation since they lost against Liverpool, and because I played for both clubs. I tried to almost figure out why is it that Tottenham have been underachieving for so long. And I think a lot of it does come from culture. Gary just mentioned it, a winning culture. Whereas when I was at Liverpool, I didn't win as much as I'd have liked there, but every season, the culture and the environment was to try and win. You bought players to try and win. You were always around the ground. There was pictures of people that had won, great trophies, people like Graham Souness, tremendous leaders of the football club. But here, I just think that as long as they've got the American football and they've got Beyonce in the summer, I think they're happy. I think the owners are happy. It looks like a business model that everyone could be happy with, that is successful. But does that breed a winning environment? No, it doesn't, because something is fundamentally wrong.
Does one necessarily negate the other? Can you not have both?
Well, he tried to do both, but it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked the way that he's wanted to do it.
So is that on him, or is it the manager?
I think it's a bit of both.
So yeah, it's sort of similar discourse to what I've seen a lot from people outside of Tottenham. The whole thing about, Daniel Levy, he took over the club that was mid-table. He's got them into the Champions League. He's, got them to places they never thought they could have. They've got a world-class training ground. They've got a world-class stadium. It's all the stuff we've heard before. But as these videos showed, our net spend, the ticket prices that Spurs fans have to pay, such as myself, it's beyond a joke. It's all about Beyonce concerts, go-kart tracks, NFL. It's not about the football. If the football was of importance, it would be, the crown jewel of all this. But it's about announcing a new Post Malone tour, Kendrick and SZA and all that rubbish. We don't care about that first and foremost. They're good revenue streams, don't get me wrong. I think it's a good way and it shows that Daniel Levy is bolstering that. But we don't see it on the pitch. We don't see managers get backed. We don't see players brought in of a higher calibre. It's, penny pinching and panicking at board level. And this has also come about because there's been some rumours that Daniel Levy potentially and Joe Lewis/Enoch are looking to sell a percentage of the club. They're looking for investors, and Qatar has been rumoured to be circling, and Amanda Staveley was also rumoured as well. Not sure how concrete these links are, but it would show that these rumours circulating that maybe there is an interest. Maybe Tottenham would like to be acquired as a Premier League team. And, I've made my thoughts clear about what I think of Daniel Levy. I think he's done some good, but for everything he's done good, he's done two things wrong in his Tottenham career, and I don't see it getting any better. If we want this club to go to the next level, to succeed, to win trophies, to compete at the highest level, Daniel Levy needs to leave. And these Qatar rumours suggest that they want to keep him. The only way you keep him is in a business capacity. He's an amazing businessman when it comes to Tottenham. And I even say that though, but you could say his £1 billion or so asset, or couple of £1 billion asset, is deteriorating, and that's his fault because he's allowed this team to rot over the years. He never backed Poch, he hardly backed Conte and Mourinho, and he's just about started to back Postecoglou, but he needed to back Postecoglou because the squad was in disarray. We sold our best player of all time. But I just think that, all these external factors, you've got Jermaine Defoe, who I loved as a Tottenham player, but he is a club ambassador really, he's going to back the club. Jamie Redknapp, one of the worst Tottenham captains of all time, hasn't got a Scooby-Doo what he's talking about. Even when he was talking about Harry Redknapp and his dad at the club, he doesn't really know the ins and outs. I think it's a load of rubbish. And then Gary Neville, he acts like he's a football owner, but what does he know really? He's all well and good on Super Sunday, talking about the problems at Tottenham, but when it came to addressing the problems at Manchester United, it was all on the players, it's all on Ruben Amorim, there was nothing about the Glazers or Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and that sort of sums him up. But this is not just him in general. Lots of people seem to be, on the fence about Daniel Levy, even Simon Jordan on talkSPORT recently.
Sam, you don't let that come into your thinking, even though you know him pretty well. Pick up on what John has been saying. It was a major surprise. You and I were on that morning when Mourinho got his marching orders days before the League Cup final.
It's a very extreme circumstance, and obviously people would suggest, why in God's name would you sack a manager now? Maybe.
Would you have done it?
Depends what the manager did. And depends what the situation was, because it is a very unconventional. It must have been a very extreme situation. My understanding of it is there was a group of players queuing outside the chairman's door, not wanting to play for Mourinho anymore, and refusing to play for him. Now, whether that's true, whether it's an exaggeration, I don't know. As far as salaries are concerned, Joe Lewis is the funder of Tottenham Hotspur, not Daniel Levy. Daniel Levy is a paid chairman whose entire wealth is wrapped up in Tottenham Hotspur. So ultimately, it's not surprising if you produce the kind of commercial results that he does. Steve Parish is a shareholder at Crystal Palace. He gets paid £3 million a year for a club that does a fraction of the turnover of Tottenham Hotspur. So I understand what people's argument is, but you've got to make the judgments based upon a fair and accurate representation. You want to make the argument about trophies, it's there all day. They haven't won trophies, and they should be held to that particular account. If you want to make it about people's salaries, and there'll be a queue of people around the block to work for Tottenham Hotspur. There'll be a queue of elite managers, because irrespective of what you do or don't say, Tottenham have spent significant amounts of money over the last 2 or 3 seasons. The challenge is, and this argument about Pochettino, people don't seem to hear things. We had David Pleat come in this studio, who has a degree of rancour towards Tottenham Hotspur because he doesn't like the way he was treated, so he's got no particular allegiance, suggesting that actually it was nothing to do with a decision not to spend money besides the manager telling them that they didn't need any support the following season. And then you've got other situations that people don't want to hear because they have their own bias about the dynamics of what's going on in Spurs. The bottom line is I think commercially that Tottenham are the most well-run football club in the world, and I think the achievements that Levy has put into that football club, he's built what I said the other day was a spaceship. Yeah. The challenge is
match it on the pitch.
Of course, you've got to match it on the field, and that's the end of the discussion as far as some fans are concerned.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying be careful what you wish for, but I don't understand that. We've seen how at Newcastle, Mike Ashley rotting the club to the core, and they got new owners in, and it's been all upwards and positivity at Newcastle United. You just need that kick up the backside. Even, I think Gary Neville said that Tottenham are somehow a bigger club than Manchester City, which I found quite funny. But I just think until we see that change, and I know a lot of people on this channel in the comment section have said I've been a bit harsh on Ange Postecoglou lately. I'm only being harsh because I want him to succeed. I want him to do better. And if that isn't the case, then Levy might have to axe. But it's... Levy, if you were to put blame on Postecoglou, you could put 15%, 20% maybe on him, and the other 80% is on Daniel Levy. I think he's an absolute joke when it comes to the football logistics at this club, and even the January transfer window, it was all last minute, slapdash. He's been quite fortunate, in some of his key decisions when they've gone the right way, but I just think it's time for change at Tottenham. Fair play to all those who protested. More of this, more chanting. The most recent game I went to was the Leicester game. The chants go on throughout the game. Not like Manchester United, where it's just they get the Norwich scarves out when they're losing or when it's not going well. We're winning, we won a game, and it was still the same. They did the sit-in, they did the protest, and it was good to see. So good on all you Spurs fans who did that. But you're going to have to let me know in the comments down below. Do you agree with Gary Neville? Do you disagree with Gary Neville? What are you? You Levy in, you Levy out. I want to know all your opinions, and I'll be in the comments reacting to what you have to say. But until next time, leave your likes, leave your comments, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and until then, have a good one. Ciao.